Hello, Aries. Welcome to Dove and Serpent Tarot. My name is Paul. If Aries is your sun, moon, or rising sign, this is your tarot card reading. Remember to hit the like button, leave a comment. Consider subscribing to the channel, especially if this reading resonates with you. These readings are totally free. If there is anything you would like me to pray over, or meditate upon, or send positive energy toward, please let me know. Now, this is a general reading, so try to be open and receptive to whatever may come through during our time together. I am merely the messenger, and I ask you to connect directly with each of these cards and use your own intuition to take you beyond the details that I provide. And remember, Aries, that the most important part of any tarot reading is you. And we start with the Six of Pentacles. This is a card of success. This is the card of really being a team player, you know. This is the card of contributing to a group, bringing something to the table, right? And this is your station. This is your sense of self. This is who you are when you're alone, you know. This is, this position of the Dove and Serpent spread is it's who we are when we shut our eyes, how we see ourselves when, no one else is looking. Right? And I think you see yourself as someone who is capable of great success. You see yourself as someone who is shining a light into the world. You see, this card looks like a bright light, And so I feel like you're an optimist. I feel like you have a lot of confidence right now. You believe in your own capabilities. You believe that you have something to offer the world. You believe that you fit in here in this world somewhere. Yeah. And so we need to reflect on how this card might resonate with our sense of self right now. And to me, it feels like we have a particular alignment with things right now. There's a certain harmony in your life. And it may be that you have, these so-called 6 pillars of health and well-being. The intentional eating, intentional movement, sleep, right? Stress reduction, relationships, right? Healthy relationships, and a sense of purpose. And having all those things in your life that are getting enough of your attention in order to build them up and grow them and maintain them is kind of like we're cultivating that inner garden, And I think that is really a very harmonious flow state to be in. And I feel like you're experiencing more of that alignment right now. Yeah. Let's put this card into a little bit of context. We're going to use the rest of our Dove and Serpent spread. We have the Fool. Interesting. We have a 5 of Cups. We have the Art or Temperance card. You have a Knight of Swords. You have the Chariot. Very good. Interesting, yeah. We've got a Prince of Cups. We have a 5 of Swords. A 9 of Pentacles, and the 8 of Cups. Yeah, the 8 of Cups is going to be very interesting because this is kind of like, to me it feels that sometimes the 8 of Cups can get a little bit pessimistic. You might be someone that's prone to some lows, I think we're learning how to deal with those circumstances. We're learning how to deal with the realities of life, the ups and downs of life that typically would make us feel very low. There's some of us that, depending on the external events, good things are happening, I feel good. Bad things are happening, I feel bad. Okay? And so we're aware of how that might have been the case for us. I think you've done a lot of work to stabilize yourself, to find something solid within you, to create something solid within you that can deal with those ups and downs of life without being sort of capsized by them. When everything's going really, really good at work, you're in a good mood. When things are not going so good at work, you're sort of in a bad mood, and then it affects your other relationships too. And to me, that's kind of what the 8 of Cups is representing. But as our final outcome card, to me, it symbolizes that we are very much aware of that. We're consciously aware of how that happens. And we're being purposeful in not letting that be the case. Once we wake up to something and we can recognize it, then we're able to make other choices, and we're able to kind of to pull ourselves out of something like that. But anyway, let's select the mystery card, bonus card, confirmation card. This is a random card from the Smith-Waite Tarot. This is the factor infinite and unknown. We're just going to set it down over here with Mr. Tao, the yin-yang duck, right there on top. And we're not going to look at that card until the very end, but it will tie everything together. It will give us the confirmation that we need at the end of the reading. If at any moment during this message you feel like you might know what that card could be, put your prediction in the comments down below. All right. Now, as we look around the room, we see major. You've done a lot of spiritual work right now. You have put yourself through the fire. You've been through the pressure cooker. And I think that what you've done is you've learned to, you've found something pure inside of yourself that allows you to fortify yourself against the ups and downs of life. You see, because the Chariot knows that it's going to go through more uncertain times, that there will be moments in life that take us up and down. There will be more twists and turns. But the Chariot is sort of fortified against that. We've got the shock absorbers, we got good tires, we got the oil change, we got enough gas, we got our seatbelts on, we're going to be fine, And so I think this is really talking about a spiritual development in you, where we've learned how to sort of separate ourselves and not identify so much with what is happening in our world. Let's say work is going poorly, or there are challenging things happening at work, but I'm not letting myself get pulled down into a bad mood because of it. So we found something stable inside of ourselves that can say, that is not me. Whatever's happening at work, that's not a reflection of who I am or my value or my worth. And so we're able to maintain this kind of solid momentum, and this fortification really in the Chariot card. So we have really good major arcana. We don't have any fire. We have water. We have air and air. And we've got our earth cards. So it's kind of heavy on the water, right? Because I feel like spiritually this is a way for you to understand your emotions and to keep yourself kind of separate from those emotions. If we're immersed in the emotions, we become the emotion. We cannot see things, objectively, because we become it, right? So by putting a little bit of distance, by realizing that I am separate from that emotion, I can still feel it, I can still interact with it, but I'm not becoming it. And therefore I can see it a little bit more, I can see it as something outside of myself. And I know that, okay, that's not the authentic me. Yeah. And so we see that reflected in some of these water cards as well. But the Fool right now, the Fool is the battle. It's the second position of the Dove and Serpent spread. And it's the challenge. It's what's really kind of driving us forward. It's the work at hand. And with the Fool, it really is about kind of in one ear and out the other. It's really, the Fool is perfectly capable of letting things go. The Fool has let everything go. The Fool travels very light. A lot of the things that happen to us in life, we tend to stick to us. The Fool is not sticky, right? The Fool lets everything just rolls off its back. And of course, that's the ideal. But that is maybe not so ideal if you think about it, because if everything goes in one ear and out the other, as my parents used to tell me, if everything sort of rolls off our back, then we're not really clinging to the good things either, because the Fool can be very detached. And detachment can lead to indifference, can lead to coldness, can lead to, inconsideration. So the Fool wants to be a pure conscious awareness, where I'm witnessing life. And none of it really means anything, but is just an experience that's going through me, right? It's kind of like the Fool is the center of the universe and everything is just going through. The time and space is just passing through the Fool and nothing really sticks. But we're not quite like that, right? Things do stick to us. And we want them to. When we have good bonding, love experiences with our friends, our family, at work, with our pets, our plants, our people, we want to remember those times, right? The Fool has no memory because it's just a big fat zero. Nothing sticks. Yeah. We want things to stick. but we don't want the bad things to stick. We want the good things to stick. And that really is part of the challenge for the Fool. And I think right now you're going through a period of time where not much is sticking. You might feel as if you don't remember things the way you used to, okay? And I think it's in this attempt to kind of let some of these more negative things go, let the negative experiences, let's say, you know, your kids aren't being nice to you, or there's things going on at work that aren't so pleasant, business is down, something like this. And we're trying to just let all that stuff go. In the process, we sometimes let go of some of the good things too. Okay, so the work seems to really be like we focus on the positive things, we identify with those, we let ourselves feel the joy, but then when things inevitably take a turn, and there will always be ups and downs of life. Always. Okay? We want to ride the high waves, but we don't want to get down into the low troughs. And that's not easy to do. So the Fool is kind of this card that just abandons everything. It doesn't get attached to anything at all, right? So our courage right now is being tested because we're meant to go through life and experience all of the emotions, the whole range, the pleasures and the pains, or the joy and the suffering. We're supposed to experience all of it. But there has to be something we find inside of ourselves that is not so easily manipulated. You know what I mean? Like, because the Fool, we could call the Fool a feather in the wind, a cork on the ocean, right? Wherever the emotional current is going, that's what the Fool becomes. Okay? And so the Fool's trying to be indifferent to most things. And that's sort of that's the challenge, right? That's the dilemma that we're in. We don't want to be so attached to our experiences that when things are good, I feel good. When things are bad, I feel bad, because then we're being pushed and pulled with no control, right? We want to be able to, it's kind of like the Fool's a filter. We want to let all the bad stuff get stuck in in this case, it's a reverse filter. We want to let all the bad stuff go through the filter, and just the good stuff is what's going to stay behind, you know? And that's sort of that's our challenge right now. Now, down beneath the surface, you have in your third position, the position of your soul, we have a 5 of Cups, this card of disappointment. It's that card of sadness. It is that card that says, yeah, you know, sometimes I don't feel all that happy about stuff. Sometimes there are things that happen in life that I'm disappointed about. And this might be one of those feelings that we have to look at but not identify with. Okay? And I feel as if there is something that we are not really looking at, but we need to. This is something whispering to you from inside of you that's saying, "Hey, pay attention to me." Okay, and it's a I don't know what you might call a difficult emotion or a negative emotion or something like this, right? It does not feel good, anyway, and that's why we don't really want to look at it. Because then if I don't look at it, then I'm not going to, that I won't consciously become that, right? But with the 5, I think it's important that you're able to look at the emotion but realize I'm not it. It's, you know, kind of like there is a wave of sadness that is trying to wash over me, and I'm not going to really let it. I'm going to acknowledge the feeling. This isn't about suppression, right? It's about acknowledging how we feel but saying I am not that feeling. And that's kind of what the Fool does. Fool says, I am not that feeling. The feeling is coming at me, and I'm going to experience it. It's like a wave that's just about to crash down on us. We're going to get wet, but we're not going to drown in that emotion, okay? And I think that's a practice. I think when we start to feel sad or upset about something, we have to say, okay, I acknowledge the feeling, that there is a feeling of sadness that's coming upon me, but I am not that feeling. I am something beyond that, right? Again, the Fool is like pure spirit, pure consciousness. It can experience everything, but it is not any of those things, the good or the bad, okay? And so this card is, it's kind of that unconscious feeling, and there might be right now in your life a negative kind of emotion, a feeling in there that you do need to look at and say, okay, I acknowledge this, but I'm not identifying with this. It's something that's coming at me, but I'm choosing not to stay in this feeling, and identify that, because maybe there is something happening at work. Maybe there is something that is, maybe there is something in your relationships that's not so perfect right now. Okay. And I think the way that we get better at dealing with this kind of Five of Cups feeling is by having our Six of Pentacles, by having something fortified, by having the good practices in our life, right? The eating, the sleeping, the movement, the healthy relationships, the sense of purpose, right? The stress reduction kind of practices. I think having those pillars of your own sort of well-being and fortitude are helping you to deal with the contingencies of life, helping you to deal with the ups and downs. Yeah. Now, in the past position, we have it's the Art or Temperance card. It's the pressure cooker. This is something from the past that is still sort of influencing you. And this is a period of time where you had to undergo a really challenging transformation. And it might be that this work of yours it started a long time ago. Some kind of a spiritual transformation, a development, something in your life, but it paused. I feel like it was there, and then it sort of, it was put on hold, or it's, I don't know, something stalled out, right? I feel like you were developing something, working on something. This is either you're in the middle of a big project, or you're learning some new skill, or you have some really intense practice, and it stopped. I feel like it's starting again. I feel like you're getting back to something. Maybe these 6 pillars of health and well-being, right? Maybe you'd been through something that sort of put your plans on hold. Now we're getting back to doing it. Okay, and maybe what that Five of Cups is really saying is that there was something in your life that you really miss. You know, and maybe that's something that we need to acknowledge and say, yeah, you know what, I do. I have those feelings. I miss something. But maybe we're not going to go back to doing what we have been doing, what we were doing before. But it's kind of like saying, I know what that feeling means. I know what it's saying to me, and I know what I need to initiate now. Because the Fool is also the card of like new beginnings, a new quest, a new adventure, right? So I feel that there's something inside of you that you need to acknowledge, and then we need to sort of accept it, not push it away, but to say, okay, I'm listening, I hear you. Because the Five of Cups is usually saying that something should be here, but it's not, and therefore I feel a disappointment. So if we understand what that feeling is that we want to have, but we don't have, the Fool might know what we could do to sort of get that feeling back. Okay? So what is it that you need to begin doing in your life, or to begin again? Okay? Something for you to resume. Yeah. That'll give you the feeling that you really want to have for your life. Because right now it feels, if we really look inside and we acknowledge it, there's something that might be missing. Yeah. So the Temperance card to me feels like there were some plans that were interrupted. Yeah. That you were involved in a certain process of life, and something happened. I don't know what it was that happened, but something interrupted it. Okay. And now we have up here, this is the position 5, it's the Giant, right? This is the Knight of Swords. And this is a card of very quick decision-making. This is a card really that's sort of, well, all the knights, right? All of the knights of the tarot are looking at the future. So as this card looks at the future and sees all the swords cards, right? Sees the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10 of swords. Can see the plan through from beginning to end. I know every step of the way, right? And I think the idea here is that we need to know where we left off, right? So I feel like you're picking something back up again. Because I feel that we were on this path, and we were progressing through the stages or steps of something, and then something happened and we stopped. We got diverted. maybe something else happened in another area of life, you know, and so that negative experience negatively impacted this other thing that you were doing. Okay, so that's kind of what I was getting to at the beginning, where challenges in one place will bleed over and will other areas of our life will suffer too. Okay, so now I think the objective is to realize that we can pick up where we left off, that we don't have to go all the way back to the beginning. We don't have to forget about it. We don't have to we don't have to try to just be okay without it. We don't have to just say, well, it wasn't meant to be. This card's kind of saying, like, we can pick up where we left off in the process. You don't have to go back to the beginning, go back to square one. I feel like that's kind of part of your issue too. Going back to square one, it's kind of like we got to go through all those really difficult things at the beginning, but I've already been through those. I don't want to have to go through these pressure cookers again, you know? So I feel like we're picking something up where we left off. That brings us to position 6, the imago, the image of our future self. The next step on our path is now we've realized what that thing is. We're holding the Holy Grail in our lap, right? And we're in our chariot, and we're moving forward. This is the card of motion. This is the card of getting back to the quest and being devoted to something that is amazing, something that is huge in our life, right? And I feel like we don't want to wait. Now, we're looking at the stack of cards here. We don't see any fire. And that's kind of odd for an Aries, right? Not having any of that fire. We got to get that fire back, because I feel like we're missing something. Like something's not there that should be, but also we're feeling the emotions of, like, I miss you to this thing or this person or this path or process. And by realizing that whatever happened, we can let go of it, we can recognize the emotion, but we can stay detached from it, and we can pick up again where we left off, I feel like we're getting the fire back, right? I've strong hopes for the mystery card. I feel like it's going to be some fire energy. Because the chariot now is this cardinal water energy. So it's kind of like saying we're initiating this current again. Yeah. That we're right back up to speed where we were. Maybe it takes a little bit of time to sort of get familiar with the path again. But once we're on there, it's like we never left. Yeah, once we get back to this, it's like no time has passed at all. So I don't know if this has to do with a friend, a reconciliation, maybe getting back in touch with your family, or if it has to do with a romantic situation, or if it has to do with a job or a hobby or an activity or a skill or a sport or a craft or an art, anything, any of those things, right? We're getting back to it. It's like we never left. And I think that this is now the choice that we have to make. We have to admit, first of all, that we feel an absence without that thing there. And then we have to realize that we can pick up where we left off. And then we have to really let go of anything that's blocking us. And then we have to just get back on the road and do it. Yeah. Now, Path of the Serpent, let's talk about these cards. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do. These readings are totally free. Your general energy, position 7, the persona, is the Prince of Cups. Now, this is a card of authenticity. This is somebody that is trying to remain steady despite the emotional ups and downs of life. So it really sums up what we've been talking about. Somebody that is steady, someone that is a bubble in the ocean, right? And is kind of like saying, I'm here in the middle of this thing, but I am not that element. I am air in all of this water, you know? And I feel like this is us trying to remain pure and true and authentic, trying to remain stable and steady within ourselves. It's a fixed water energy, right? So it's about me trying to maintain a level mood, even when things are not going so well in life. Even when things, that happen that I would usually feel low, that I'm staying even. Okay? And that's not an easy thing to do, right? Very often we are sort of tossed around by the waves of life. Bad things happen, I get into a bad mood. Good things happen, I'm in a good mood. And I feel like a cork on the ocean. I'm trying to be steady. I'm trying to be stable. Okay, I'm trying to detach myself from things that go wrong and say, I acknowledge this and it feels terrible, but I am not that thing, and that is not determining my value, and therefore I am okay, and I'm going to continue on with a little bit of a smile, you know. And so I feel that this is kind of like you inside the chariot. This is, I mean, you know, this is you in the chariot. But what you're doing, even if we look at this card, we're riding the eagle, right? And the eagle is swooping down over the water. Maybe getting a little bit of sea spray, you know, but is not diving down immersed in the water. We're not becoming the emotion, but we're feeling it. We're right there with it, feeling it, but we're not becoming it. See, we're just hovering over the surface of the waters. And I think that is, that's kind of like the smooth sailing that we're looking for. It's not that we expect life to be perfect, because then it wouldn't take any courage at all. If the seas were smooth, flat, you know, the water's like glass, then there would be no need to be a skilled sailor. Anybody could do it. It's only because the ocean is so treacherous and so unpredictable and so up and down that it requires skill to be out here sailing our boat, you know? And so you're finding the courage to face this part of your life again, getting back to resuming whatever this is that you're resuming, knowing that there will be ups and downs, but I'm okay. I can handle them. I know how to navigate those and not lose myself and not abandon all of these 6 pillars of health and well-being. You know, when you're feeling low, and then you just kind of, your healthy habits go out the window, you know? But those healthy habits, those are like the ballasts that are keeping us afloat. I think they're called ballasts. That's the sort of buoy around us, right? That is helping to keep us stable when we're on that very turbulent emotional water. So I love this card as your persona, because it's really reflecting an authenticity which says, yeah, I feel my feelings, and I'm not gonna hide from them. I'm not gonna deny my feelings. I'm feeling them just like that. They're right there. But I'm not becoming those. And those are not going to, or I'm going to do my very best anyway, to not let those feelings interrupt the good harmony and the good flow I have in my life, the good success, the good feelings, the good relationships, these good practices, and these pillars of my health, right? This harmony. So I like that a lot. And now the 5 of Swords is the next card. This is position 8. It's the shadow. It kind of shows us where some of our lessons are, you know. The 5 of Swords is a card of our thought process. So this is the mind now. We're just as we're the 5, any of the 5s, right? They say, look at me. So the 5 of Cups is saying, look at the emotions. What is that negative emotion that you're feeling that you don't want to look at? Look at it. You look at it because it's outside of you, right? It's not something that, you are not it. You are you, and it is something that you're experiencing, okay? And the same thing with our thoughts now, right? We have to understand how the feelings we feel have been influencing our thoughts in our relations. This is the position of your relationships and your environment. So the way that you are interacting with your environment now is being subtly and unconsciously affected by these negative emotions. Negative emotions, negative thoughts. I get some negative thoughts. I'm not thinking so well. I'm thinking some negative thoughts. I'm feeling more negative feelings. These two get together and they can't help but feed into each other. It's a vicious circle here, these two. Okay? But it's kind of saying, like, look at us and acknowledge that we're here so that we can, once we bring something to the light of consciousness, we can alter its behavior. So what I want to do now is do a Language of Flowers affirmation card. Because I feel like we've been experiencing more negativity. It feels like people aren't being nice to us. It feels like we're not trusting other people's intentions. Here's your affirmation card. We have breathe, calm, rest, stop, and just be. Well, that's really cool because anytime we get a 5, right, we start looking for the 4. And the 4 of Swords is a card of breath. It is a card of rest. It is a card of be calm, stop, and just be. It's the Four of Swords. It's the box breathing. It's the mental fortification. It's saying let's stop those negative thoughts and let's clear our mind by breath work, you know. And of course, the Fool is the one that is calm and restful and has just stopped and is just being. Right? The Fool is pure being. It's the big fat zero, right? It's consciousness itself. It's spirit itself. Pure being. So again, this is kind of, it's all tying into each other here. So I feel like with the Five of Swords, we've been experiencing kind of more negative vibes from people. It feels like people aren't being very nice. It feels like our relationships are kind of suffering a little bit. And we're not having all that pleasant of an experience interacting with other people. When we're out in public, when we're talking to other people, it just feels like there's something off there, you know? And I think that some of that comes from this unacknowledged feeling inside of us, because we kind of feel this negative feeling, and it cannot help but feed into the way we're experiencing our relationships. Okay? So that is kind of another thing that says, hey, let's examine how we've been thinking about life, how we've been thinking about other people. What are the thoughts going through our heads? What are the feelings going through our hearts? And let's look at them and acknowledge what those are so that we can choose something else. Yeah. And then, of course, we've got our Nine of Pentacles here. It is the specter position. It's the fear, anxiety, the dread, the worry, the concern. This is a card of gain. So it feels like we're kind of, maybe we're afraid that that we're not going to experience any improvement. I mean, and I think that's a kind of a common worry. It's like, I don't want to get back to the path because I don't feel like I don't feel like it's going to take me anywhere. You know, like anytime we are forced to give something up or something happens and we have to put something on hold, if we get kind of down in the dumps about it, every time we think about it, we might say, there's no point in getting back to it because I've already blown it. I've already ruined it. I've already lost. I've been gone so long that there's no way it's going to work now, you know, or that, you know, we've already sort of burned the bridge. I guess that's kind of the card here. We're afraid that we've burned the bridge already, but we haven't. The bridge is still there. We could pick up where we left off. There might be some adjustments that need to be made, but, you know, ultimately it'll be like we never left. But we have to change the way we're thinking and feeling about it and about life and about ourselves. And we have to say, you know what, I'm not afraid of progress. I can make progress here. I'm not afraid of the path anymore because I can handle the path. And the Nine really is this active card. This is about you traveling the path. This is a card of the visible signs of progress. This is the card of gain. This is the card of work. Okay? And so this is, you know, this is kind of saying that, look, your mood, your health, your mental state is going to improve once you get back to doing what you need to do. Once we get back to traveling the path and living this life that we were intent on living, but then again, something happened. By picking this thing back up and focusing on it and doing it and staying fortified enough to handle the ups and downs, we're confronting that fear, right? That fear of maybe not succeeding, you know? And it could be that we feel like we've already failed. We didn't. We didn't fail. I feel like wherever you left off, that's where you've stayed. It's like you've hit a plateau, and you've been on that plateau for a while, and that's okay. We didn't lose anything. We didn't fail at anything. There was just a pause. Maybe it's been a long pause. That's okay, right? So we're sort of embracing this card, and we're saying, yeah, you know what? I can pick up wherever I stopped on the road. When I'm ready, I can turn the engine back on. I can get the car back on the road, right where I left off. You don't have to start all the way back at your house again and drive, you know, down the road. You're just wherever you stop the car, that's where the car is. Now, you might be a little rusty at driving the car, so you're gonna have to go slow at first, but you'll be right back to where you were. And I don't know if it feels like it's a relationship, but I don't know. Okay, it could be playing guitar or something. I don't know. The next card though is this is usually the card of destiny. Okay, And really, this tells me that what this is our ability to adjust our ballasts, so to speak. Because when you have an 8 of cups, you have 4 cups that are full of water, 4 cups that are full of air. Okay, this is kind of the card of like the glass half full, the glass half empty. Well, it's neither. It is completely full, half full of air, half full of water. Right? So to me, it feels like it is us understanding the symbiotic relationship between our heart and our mind and using that to navigate our feelings and to maintain stability. When we're low, we know how to sort of pump in more air to bring the ship back up to the surface. When we're starting to get too high up in the water, we let out a little bit of air, we feel the emotions more, and we maintain our level. And that kind of feels like we've got these really good shock absorbers on the car. And as we're speeding down our path again, the road is going to be ups and downs, bumpy, potholes, speed bumps and stuff. And so your shock absorbers are going to be absorbing all that. But us as the rider, as the charioteer, we're not going to feel those bumps as much. We'll still feel them. They'll still have an impact. But it's going to be a much smoother ride. Okay, because I think we have certain practices, spiritual practices, the 6 pillars of health and well-being that we can focus on, and those practices help us to stabilize those shock absorbers. Okay, let's look at the mystery card. I feel like this is really good for you. Now, the mystery card is position 11. Okay, it is the position of the guide. It's your true self, your inner self, higher self. The one that's waiting to sort of give you the guidance you need. What do we think it's going to be? Fire, right? It's got to be fire. If you have a prediction, put it in the comments down below. Let's see what we have. Oh, it is fire. Well, it's not the Aries power card. It is the Leo power card. Strength, passion, lust, right? And what this card is it's fixed fire energy. Which means that when this card returns, it's kind of like saying, pick up where you left off, because I feel like you were in the middle of the path somewhere in the middle, the long middle, right? And something stopped. Something put things on hold. This card is saying, just start the engines. Let's keep going. We don't have to start from the beginning. We can start where we were. You might have to warm up a little bit, like I said, but you're not losing anything that you've gained. Just like enlightenment, spiritual enlightenment, spiritual awakening is never lost. We never go back to sleep. We may abandon the path for a time, but when we come back to it, we're right where we left off. Okay? So it never goes backwards. We never lose ground in that sort of thing. Okay? And so I feel like this is a really, really strong card for you. And it is fire, right? It's that Leo fire energy. So I think this is exactly what we need. I like it. I like it a lot. And it's also kind of showing the courage that we need. The courage to sort of be in control of our chariot. Yeah. To know that, to know that we are going to feel deeply our emotions, but that we are not those emotions. Yeah. And so we stay in control of them, not them in control of us. So sometimes it's a wrestling match. Yeah. Because, we can look at the emotions as there is a wave of sadness that's trying to overpower me, but I'm not going to let it. I'm going to feel it, and I'm going to have to wrestle with it, but I'm not going to let it. Okay. Anyway, please let the lessons of these 11 stations settle into your heart. Each card is a mirror, each station a temple of transformation. And remember that the tarot does not dictate your future. It reveals the patterns of possibility. It invites you to co-create your destiny. If this reading has illuminated your path, please share your reflections down below. Together we journey onward, ever upward, and ever inward. And we're going to do an extended reading too. If you want to stick around, we're going to do an I Ching hexagram. We're going to do some oracle cards. There is a link in the corner, and there's a link down below. New readings for Aries on Mondays and Fridays. Be sure to watch both readings. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do. These readings are totally free. If there is anything that you would like me to pray over, please let me know. Yeah. Leave a comment and let me know where in the world you're watching from. I want you to know that you're the most important part of Dove and Serpent Tarot. I thank you and I love you. And we're all in this together.